Guys, this morning we are going to have a number of conversations. But to start off those conversations this morning, I have the privilege of sitting in studio with a man that is no stranger to us here on Tobago Update, specifically Good Morning Tobago. We are chatting with Mr. Curtis Douglas, who is the president of the All Fisherfolk Association of Tobago. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Shenell, and good morning to Trinidad and Tobago and the wider Caribbean, and all those viewers on the YouTube station. Good morning to you all.
Good morning. It was always a pleasure to sit and chat with you. And yesterday last week, Monday, we saw a budget presentation coming from the Division of Finance that was given or delivered in the House by Councillor Petelan Roberts. Now, as the conversation continues, there are a number of pillars that they are anchoring that projected economic growth on. And one of those pillars have to do with agriculture. And we know that fishing and fisheries has a huge role to play in agricultural development globally. But as it pertains to Tobago's contribution and the contribution that fishermen will be making to that level of economic transformation via agriculture, what are some of your perspectives on what is being propositioned?
Well, first of all, when a budget is presented, it's presented for Tobago and Tobagonians and Tobago growth and development. And I must say the attempt by Ms. Roberts, Ms. Petelan Roberts, was a good attempt, but it also have a lot of vacuousness in that budget. I'm not beating down her budget, but I have to say it for what it is. And when I say it from a mutual perspective. Great attempt, but I was expecting more as a Tobagonian for what I would have seen would have campaigned and the promises that they would have been more boisterous and they would have had a more straight standing than a bending towards the growth and development for Tobago in that budget. And I would have strongly advise to Ms. Roberts to, when she using or presenting a budget, try to keep the political aspect out of it by using the term anchoring. You're confusing people. We don't anchor. Tobago is about growth and development, and a budget should be about growth and development and the future, where it will take us a year from now and where Tobago will be a year from now. But from the perspective as the president of the Fisherfolk Association and also as a businessman, I see a lot of flaws in the budget. And when I say flaws, I don't mean to condemn, I just want to highlight because, as I said, great effort because it would have been the first budget she would have presented, but she must also learn from her lack of factiousness in the budget, right? So we are here to highlight these aspects and hope that some changes could be made to ensure and to safeguard the growth and development in the industry and also in Tobago, because as it stands, for months now, the Tobago economy has been very stagnant, and I haven't seen anything much in the budget to say to speed forward the stagnation of our GDP on an island, especially in the fishing industry. When I listen to her lay her budget to the public of Trinidad and Tobago.
Right, and even as we look at the role of the sectors themselves. You are the head of the All Tobago Fisherfolk Association. What role do you see your organization playing outside of the public sector, outside of the T.H.A, in helping to bolster that type of growth and capacity building within the fishing industry?
Now, when you have a budget that only speak to a subvention to the agriculture society, and you leave out the fishing, the All Tobago Fisherfolk, it says quite clearly you're not really in tune with what is taking place. You're not aware on how to handle it. Now, we have been working for years outside of any subvention, any help, by doing the little we can. Hence the reason why we have that stagnant growth and development in the fishing industry. Now, if we were to have the assistance or some form of assistance, we would have been able to transform the entire fishing industry. But when you have one boat called Capitella Paradise, and I hear the secretary as she lay her comments in the legislature recently, and you what the Capitella Paradise have done, I'm not saying it has made a contribution, but where is the second and the third and the fourth Capitella Paradise, right? And these are the things that we are saying. I just don't want to repeat. I want to improve as we go along. And I'm not seeing any improvement, and I haven't seen a structure for growth and development. But what I would have seen is a lot of fancy and pretty talk and no action. On paper and in reality are two different things. And I'm really, really disturbed by that level of lack of vision from that perspective in the terms of growth and development in the food security sector. For example, I didn't see anything whereby you would have, in the agriculture sector, where they would have trained to have the birds mine and grow in Tobago and have a contract with Arawak or whatever to cut out the marketing for that, and also try to have that conversation with us to also have Arawak produce, market and sell our fish. Those are the conversation we are talking about in growth and development. And I'm not seeing that in this budget or presented in this budget. All I'm seeing is just talk.
But even from a macroeconomic level, when you look at the budget takes a holistic up look at the economy. When we look at the micro, when we look at the details, and getting into the actual projects and initiatives, those things come from the Division of Food Security. So I'm not understanding exactly what type of detail, project by project initiative you are looking for from that overall budget presentation that gives us a snapshot of the economy and where we want to go.
When you read a budget, you read a budget based on data, right? Data meaning that you would know how much Tobago contributes to the economy and etc. But when you read a budget, you're supposed to specify. You see, like how the budget before, how they said they're giving Tobago, the T.H.A, 100 million for coastal erosion. These are the type of details I would like to see more into the budget. Stating this, for example, there is no development program per se that would make entrepreneurs self-sufficient. You understand? It's just talk that we spend how much here and we have spent how much here. But what does the budget speak for the future? Is more reoccurrent that we are hearing than growth and development and projects. And also, I would have expected with the leadership of the entire who is being led by Tobago T.H.A, I would have thought at least they would have asked for at least 5.6%, because it was said that they would have fight for that and at least have at least $1 billion or at least, let me say, 900 million for growth and development in Tobago. I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing more like a play down, quiet, calm, free to offend or free to stand up for the people of Tobago in this budget, and I'm quite disturbed.
But the secretary is asking for 5.9%.
5.9 at how much, and how much for development? Out of a budget of 63 billion, what Tobago receive? 63, and this has been happening for years. And I am saying, if this is a win-all situation, right? Because what has been forecast and announced over the political arena recently is that once UNC win, everybody win. But I'm not saying Tobago is winning. Because there's nothing in the budget to directly say this is for the development, these are for the roads. I'm not seeing enough. I'm not seeing enough. I've been more emphasis should have been emphasized in the budget for Tobago allocation. That's just me.
Right. And back to the question that I was asking before, even as it pertains to your individual contribution as an organization, outside of what the T.H.A is doing, as it pertains to helping to drive agriculture and that 6% increase of agricultural productivity within the next 5 years. The fishing sector has a key role to play in that. What is your organization doing, from in your capacity outside of the THA to help push that level of productivity?
One, Chanel, we have to try to generate funds because the only way we generate funds is through contributions, all right? And there is limited contribution. Things is hard. It's very difficult for fishermen to contribute and also mind the family. Now, as I said, the Agricultural Society have a subvention. We don't. And we need to start to understand, we need to separate the fishing industry from the agriculture industry, even though that we both are food security based process. Now, it's so much we could do in the terms of training. Even though you have training, etc., how does that complement the fishing industry? Where do we get the funding from to contribute? So we believe that we should have been some subvention, right? And also, but what we will try to do is try to do as much training as we can, try to more have safe sea at sea and all like this.
Right. So do you guys have like a calendar of these events that you have going on for the rest of the year? What is on the agenda for ADFA as it pertains to building capacity of fishermen for the rest of 2025?
Well, right. That calendar is still being worked out by the executive for the end of this year because we have started some the calendar was this year. We're almost in the mid-year, so we just have a couple more training. We have Ayana Winchester spearheaded, the executive spearheading those training, especially now she's introducing training for women. Also, she would have been collaborating with T.H.A, Ricardo, and etc. to ensure stuff like that. But we need to deal with more. We want more. We want to see how much we could generate more funding to deal with more specific issue to help growth. Because you could do much training if we don't have. What we are looking for is that canning factory, that packaging factory, so that we could package our fish and have it on the shelves and have it. These are the things that we are looking for. Not training people and after train them. What next? What next? You must have the initiative down the road so that they could progress and the fishing industry can progress in such a manner. But we must be able to have that conversation, right? That conversation. And they must also understand the role in which ADFA play, which is contributing to food security. No, we don't really depend on the T.H.A. We don't depend. We haven't got any subvention from the T.H.A. ever had, right? We had a building they would have given us. They took it back. So, but we are still going ahead because we are going ahead independently, right? So these are some of the things, because one of the main things we are looking for in the industry is that canning and packaging industry, and everybody should be able to benefit from that. Not only fishermen, right, but also in the agriculture sector. So Tobago will be able to benefit in that aspect, and these are some of the things that we are looking for to drive ourselves determination to achieve these things. And we are not getting the help. We are not getting help because it's quite difficult, right? So, all in all.
Has ADFA had those international partnerships? We see a number of these NGOs and nonprofit organizations, working with external international agencies whose goals align with the goals that they have as it pertains to getting funding and, helping that development. Would it be through the Caribbean or Latin American region, organizations who are specifically focused on building, capacity in agriculture and within the fishery sector? Has ADFA embarked on those partnerships to get alternative means of funding?
When we try to embark on these exercise, one thing we reach upon, if we don't get the permission, if we don't get that final permission from the T.H.A, nothing happens. Hence the reason why Ms. Panting could talk about in Buku with the Japanese center and thing, which is great for the fishing industry. What I'm saying, when we need that consent. It is not simple as thing meets the eye. But yes, we do embark and we do send out application, but it's left to those those people are receiving it to say, well, yes, we could go ahead with this program, or because one of the programs we are interested in or concerning is the flying fish industry and also the smoked fish, which is the salted fish to preserve the preserved fish so that could stay on a shelf for a year. So that is where we're talking about the packages and the industry so that we could be self-sustainable and stuff like that, because we don't intend, our intentions are not to be able to depend on T.H.A or any government, you understand, but are able to provide that side of food security independently for
Right.
Tobago.
But as even as the president, do you see ADFA as being a development partner on the island? Where do you see yourself being positioned as it pertains to Tobago's economy?
I think ADFA plays a very vital role in the food security of Tobago, especially with that staple of fish. We play a very, 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 very important role. And, we believe that we are and will partner with the T.H.A, with the central government, with whoever it is, because ATFA is about Tobago. It's not about any individual. It's about the Tobago and the Tobagonians and also Trinidad and Tobago, because we lead the way, right? In the terms of being independent and being able to development and dealing with oil companies and etc. and etc. We do, right? Just that sometimes when we come across, people might say we come across to be a bit rowdy, but we are rowdy when you try to offend or stop the progress and the development of the fishing industry, right? So we have that challenge, because what we would have seen back to the budget, we wouldn't have seen any sum of funds for the security issue that we are going through in the fishing industry as it stand, because as it stand, we would have asked for two boats to be able to patrol the coastal area, because we realize that a lot of boats are being stolen and a lot of engines are being stolen and etc. So we would have liked the program to associate with the police, with the Coast Guard and ACFA, so we can be able to curb that issue, that growing issue of theft of people properties, which is the boat and the engine. So it's all about a collaborated effort. But if you do not want to invest in it, right? Because remember, fishermen are entrepreneurs. We don't depend on the government or the T.H.A, right? But we can also collaborate, and these are the type of enthusiasm we are looking for in Tobago, because we must be able to work together to build it together. Yesterday I got a call, a voice note, a boat, purple outside and white inside, with a 200 gets stolen from Toco and was headed to Tobago, right? So that draw concern, and not only that, that is the third boat that was stolen
Right.
within 3 months.
Well, we can go a little bit further on that, and what are some of the causes for that type of continuous theft that we see of boats and engines. But we're going to take a quick break right here, and we'll be back right after this. So see you soon.